And good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to another live Xanadu Gallery online critique group session. Today is Wednesday, March 16th, 2021. I am so glad to see so many of us made it here through the daylight saving transition. Your clock says it's an hour later than it did the last time we met, although we're really here at the same time. As you know, Arizona does not participate in the madness that is daylight saving time. And so it can always lead to a little bit of confusion. But glad to be here with you. And today's session is an Ask Me Anything session. I got some great questions, and I want to jump right into those. I do feel like it's worth, again, just kind of at least acknowledging the fact that we are in very, once again, somehow unusual circumstances in terms of what's going on in the world. And it can feel a little bit challenging to figure out, hey, is it okay to be talking about the art business and selling art when the world seems to be falling apart on us a bit? We're not here to talk about geopolitical circumstances or anything like that. But I do feel like it's worth acknowledging that there are some hardships going on in the world, that it's natural that our attention is going to be pulled that direction. But I think it's also important to just acknowledge that at the same time that all of that is happening, the world is moving on and rolling forward, and we have to kind of keep doing what we do. As we've had the gallery for the last 20 years, we've been through a number of situations like this. Many of you know we opened our gallery on September 11th, 2001. We went through the Great Recession in 2007, 2008, pandemics, minor bumps in the stock market and those kind of things. And certainly one has to kind of react and respond to all of those things. But at the same time, we have found that it's just so important to keep our focus as much as we can on the core of what we're doing. And I think that it's somewhat natural for us in circumstances like this to be concerned about the future. And especially when it comes to art, it's natural to ask, are people even going to be thinking about art? Is art even going to be on their radar when there is so much turmoil going on in the world? And what I can tell you is yes, they do continue. And in fact, maybe even more than ever, we need art in our lives during difficult situations like this. And so, and I will tell you that over the last several weeks, in spite of the news cycle, we continue to have visitors in the gallery at maybe slightly less than normal, but pretty close to normal levels. The people who are visiting our gallery are enjoying a day with the arts. They're enjoying maybe escaping somewhat reality. We're in Arizona, so a lot of people are coming here to travel during the winter months and get away from the cold and just to have a change of pace. And we have an opportunity in the gallery to introduce them to artwork and engage with them and see the magic happen, where they find a piece of artwork that they love and are able to bring that into their life and hopefully brighten their life and make the world a slightly better place for having that interaction with the art. We have had our sales have not slowed down over the last, even the last several months, but certainly as we look over the last couple of weeks, we've had some very significant sales of a wide array of different price points of artwork. And so I just think it's important to throw that out there that we got to keep doing what we're doing. And what we have found is that as we do that, we continue to build our business. As our artists that we're representing continue to create great works of art, they continue to build their careers, and we just kind of have to power through these challenging times. So that's enough of that. I'll get off my soapbox now, and we'll jump into your questions. And my first question, and I think we've hit on this first one a couple of times here, but it's somewhat natural. I think that this is on a lot of artists' mind as we continue to hear about this, and that is NFTs. This question from Patricia Hawkinson in Eau Claire says, what is your thoughts on the creation and selling online NFTs? So I'm going to admit I'm not the expert on this. I certainly have watched with some interest. I'm very interested in technology and the intersection of technology with culture and art. And I always like to have the latest gadgets and pay attention to what the trends are. And certainly NFTs have you can't help but have them catch your attention along with cryptocurrency and those kind of things. But at the same time that I've watched with interest all of that happening, I also have to admit that I have just, in my admittedly limited research and kind of paying attention to what's going on, I've come to decide that while it's interesting, it's not the business that I'm in. I am not particularly interested in pursuing that business. I know that I've read stories, as I'm sure you all have, of artists who have started creating or minting NFTs and selling them online and have generated eye-popping sums, revenues from that, and that there have been some opportunities there. But I would just say that I am in the business of physically getting artwork on display in front of a public who wants to have an experience. I am helping that public acquire the artwork and physically bring it into their lives. And I, to a certain extent, have to admit that I'm just a little bit mystified by the concept of buying a digital representation of a piece of artwork or a digital creation that, from my perspective of what I'm looking for in art, doesn't provide me the same kind of enjoyment and enrichment that I get out of physical artwork. And maybe some of you who have had some opportunities to, maybe you've created NFTs or purchased an NFT, maybe it brings a different kind of enjoyment and sense of ownership. Like I say, it's just not the business that I am in. I am a bit suspicious whenever I see something like this, where the sums involved seem a little bit unbelievable, tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a digital file. I get a little bit suspicious and nervous that it feels a little bit like a bubble or a trendy activity. And I'm always concerned about that might not be sustainable for those who are involved in it. I get a lot of questions from friends, who are thinking about getting into it. Jason, what do you think about NFTs? Should I invest? I just have to say, that's completely up to you. I would just proceed with caution that, that it feels like if you're anticipating that you're going to find great wealth by investing in NFTs, it seems to me that there are some real downside risks there. Now, that's from my side. From your side, as an artist, I would take a little bit different view, and that is that it would be worth it if you're curious about it. I would do a little bit of exploration and see what's involved in creating NFTs. If you're interested in pursuing it, I wouldn't say that this would be necessarily a terrible idea. There are certainly trends that we can catch on to and opportunities between physical artwork and digital representations of that artwork to potentially create a new audience for your artwork. But I would also caution that, these kind of exciting, interesting trends can also be distractions from your core work as an artist. And I would just be careful about it. And I would want to make sure that it's not taking me away from creating artwork and pursuing maybe more traditional approaches to getting your artwork out there. I'd hate for us to take a dramatic detour into something that that might not lead to ultimately to the success that you're looking for. Now, having said that, anyone want to hop in and tell me, hey, Jason, actually, I have made tens of thousands of dollars on NFTs and have had a great experience with it. And you're completely wrong about NFTs. I would love to hear any experiences or counter arguments that you might have about NFTs. No? Nobody? All right. Well, Catherine, let me pull you in.
Not really an NFT, but it was just a reflection. I had a couple of friends around yesterday to see my work in person, and they've seen lots and lots of it online. So it's not that they've never seen it before. They just wanted to really see it, to be in the presence of the
Yes.
actual art. So I'm completely with you on this.
Yeah, I think that, and we've all seen this, right? In that, those of us here, I mean, we as a gallery and you as artists, we have had digital representations of our artwork online for 20, 25 years now. And certainly there are opportunities there to create some enjoyment and some knowledge of your work. But ultimately, it is still about that experience of, having photons reflected off physical artwork and beamed into our brain through our eyes, that in-person experience remains so critical.
Yeah, and I think there's more to it than that. There's the actual, the mechanics of the energy that you've put into the piece itself.
The textures,
yeah. So for me, the energy and the process of what I've done.
And it's interesting because we've seen, I could have been certainly somewhat concerned 5 or 6 years ago. This is going to take us off on a little different direction, but 5 or 6 years ago, Amazon contacted us as a gallery and said, hey, we're launching a new a gallery business on Amazon.com, an art business. And you as a gallery can upload your artwork onto our servers and use our system and infrastructure to sell physical artwork to our customers. Now, when I see that, what I hear in my head is Jeff Bezos saying, your margin is my opportunity. That, he could be looking at the art world and saying, hey, I'm selling books, I'm selling everything else, electronics. There's a lot of artwork being sold out there and I don't have a piece of that yet. I think I want to get into that. And, I've destroyed many other physical businesses. Galleries would be a great target. And so that's my concern. We did upload some artwork just to see what would happen. But what we're finding is, and I think you would see that that experiment has not gone as well as maybe some of the other businesses, that people don't, famous last words, but people don't look at artwork as necessarily just a physical commodity that they want to buy at the lowest possible price. I'm sure there are some buyers out there who are thinking that way, but instead it is the whole experience that the buyer wants to have. I want to travel. And when I'm traveling, I want to go and see some art galleries and see things that I've never seen before and have conversations with artists and with gallery owners. And it's that experience that I'm selling as a gallery owner. So again, just kind of thinking of that and thinking of NFTs, it's just a different business than the business that I am in. Linda, let me go to you. Oh, you're muted still. Nope, still muted. It should be asking to unmute, or you can click on the microphone icon there.
I got it. Okay. Now, the thing is that I like to do digital art in addition to physical art. And I do photography too. So I see it as a way of integrating different things that I do. So I photograph the physical art and then I layer it and use my experience over the years with Photoshop to manipulate the layers and to create something that I couldn't create any other way. Yeah. It's an extension of the work that I do physically. And I looked into NFTs because it was a way, it was designed for digital artists, you know.
Sure.
So I went over to OpenSea just to see, you know, how to do it. And they tell you how to do it. It's free. You open an account there. You have to open a digital wallet. I uploaded a thing that I made just as an experiment. And it was interesting. But I looked around at what they were selling. And, you know, the images that go viral, you know, the ones of
Board
people
pandas.
hopping from one spire to another out in the middle of the desert, or that some cute dog or something weird. Those are the one, those the kind of thing, and the cutesy illustrations.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that's mostly selling. That's the audience for that, as far as I could see.
Yeah, I think you bring up a very important point, Linda, and that is that it can sound like once we start talking about NFTs, it can be easy to conflate that with, okay, digital art, and does digital art have a place? And I want to be very careful to say that I see a definite growing market for artwork that is created using digital tools as part of an artist's toolkit. You know, a number of the artists that I'm showing in my gallery are either creating their artwork completely digitally, or as you are using a hybrid of physical and digital creation tools to create artwork. It's still ultimately being manifested in a physical way. It's being printed or 3D printed in some cases, or a variety of different methods to bring it from the digital into the physical world. And I do think that there are some very interesting things happening there. I just am not sure that the mechanism, or I might even say the gimmick of NFTs is sustainable. And I think that what you see is that many of the artists and creators who got in early were able to kind of start a market and create a little bit of buzz, and then start to generate some tremendous sums of, as I say, of revenue from that. But ultimately, whenever this happens and there's this flashy new thing that's available, ultimately what you're going to get is a kind of gold rush where all of a sudden every artist is going to rush in. And now, instead of having, several dozen or 100 artists who are selling NFTs for hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, now you're going to have millions of artists who are struggling to sell their NFTs for $2. And ultimately that balancing just ends up, you saturate the market and it's difficult to sustain. And so, I mean, we'll see. Have I been wrong before about trends? Yes, I have. And, maybe a real market will develop there. And I think that there are some entrepreneurs and some artists who will, create pathways to do some very interesting things. And so I do continue to watch it. But again, it's just not the business I am in. And as an artist, I would caution you to be careful and think about what business you are in, and to keep your focus on the thing that is most important for most of you. That's going to be the creation of the artwork that you've been creating for the last many, many years. And we want to keep working on marketing and promoting, getting that work out there. Okay, I spent way more time on NFTs than I thought I would, but it's a very interesting topic and discussion. And there are a lot of great conversations going on online in artist forums about NFTs. And again, if you're interested, I would encourage you to pursue that. Let me go to a question from Damon. And Damon is in Delaware. He says, I've owned my own gallery for about 1.5 years now. An interesting 1.5 years, I am sure, Damon, with everything going on in the world. And he says, where I sell my own original paintings and reproductions. Our season is around the corner. I'd love some advice on getting more foot traffic in the door. What have you found are your best practices in achieving said goal? Yeah, so that is a great question. And that is, again, kind of thinking about, okay, what is my business as a gallery owner? What is it that I'm doing? Yeah, certainly it is about creating an environment and experiences for visitors, but a huge other part of the business is getting visitors through the front door in the first place to have that experience. I've got to make sure that people are aware of and know about my business, or can find us and are coming through the door, so that we can create those experiences and ultimately generate sales. And so there are a lot of things that we have tried over the years to do that, ranging from, certainly we've done, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years on print advertising, many tens, certainly over $100,000 on online advertising over the, not quite as many years. And everything in between, email marketing and direct mail marketing and all of those kinds of things. Ultimately, our mix right now, Damon, and what I would encourage you to focus on, well, actually, let me step back and say I kind of have two different strategies going. We have two gallery locations, as many of you know. We've got one in Scottsdale, which is a highly developed art market with a kind of well-established clientele who knows about the art market here. And so for our Scottsdale gallery, location was the key. We selected a location that is amidst many other galleries. All of us together are doing advertising and promotion. We have a gallery association that does events and also does advertising. And so there is a synergy created by virtue of our location that draws a lot of people through the door, where all day long, every day, especially during our high season, which is in the winter months, we have a steady stream of folks coming through the front door who are discovering us just by virtue of that location. Now, we could always have more, and certainly our marketing efforts are geared at bringing even more people through the front door. But what we find is that no matter how much effort we're putting into promoting our gallery and doing advertising, the fact remains that the vast majority of the people visiting our Scottsdale gallery are people who didn't know our gallery existed until they walked onto Main Street and came through our front door. And so that being the case, because we have that steady stream of traffic, our efforts in Scottsdale a lot of times end up focusing on, yes, making sales to people who are coming through the door, or getting their contact information so that we can do a follow-on marketing effort to stay in touch with the folks and remind them that we're here and show them new artwork. And so email marketing becomes one of the most important tools that we have here. And I would certainly encourage you, Damon, if you don't have a good email plan in place, and if you're not actively trying to collect email addresses from as many people as you can, that would be a great place to start. The challenge with that is that that's an investment that you're going to be making now that's going to pay dividends in the long run. Because it takes some time to build up an email list that is sufficiently large to have an audience that's going to respond in adequate numbers to your email marketing efforts and generate sales. And so it can be a little challenging at first to focus on that, but you've got to be doing that now to be laying the groundwork for your future success. Now, let's shift to Pinetop, our second gallery location, which we opened in 2019. In a very small resort town in eastern Arizona. And there are a couple of small community galleries in that area, but we were the only, and still are the only large scale commercial gallery in the area. And so the dynamic there is quite different. There is not an established art market. There is an audience there in a fairly small geographical area of folks who have second summer homes up there, and some visitors who are coming up to escape the heat in Phoenix, Scottsdale, or the Tucson area. But none of them knew about us and would have a hard time finding us on their own. And so we have had to do a lot more effort there. So our efforts there, we have done some newspaper advertising, which sounds anachronistic in this day and age, but the little small newspaper in the area does get some attention. It's kind of the only way people know what's going on up there. We have done some direct mail advertising where I bought mailing lists and did postcards and sent those out to clients or potential clients in the surrounding area. We picked about a 30-mile radius of our gallery. Well, and actually even a little beyond that to get another small town in the area, and have sent out several thousand postcards. And this last summer, that proved to be very effective. Some of our best customers last summer received a postcard from us and came into the gallery and then got onto our email list and came several times through the summer. So that's something we'll be building on. Our most effective advertising there, however, has been Facebook and Instagram advertising. And Damon, if you haven't explored that already, I would definitely look at doing some local targeted advertising. And what I'm doing in Pinetop is really kind of awareness advertising, where we're sharing images of the artwork, And for just, I'm spending, last summer, I think we were spending between $5 and $10 a day. So about $300 a month. I consider that to be a fairly small and manageable sum, but it was having a tremendous impact. Many of the people who were coming through the door, if not most, who were coming through for the first time would say, "Oh, I've been seeing you on Facebook, or I've been seeing you on Instagram," and that brought me in. And we then have the opportunity to kind of either convert those people into customers, or at least get their email information so that we can start building a relationship with them. And so that's really the name of the game, is looking for, and especially as a young gallery where potentially your advertising budget is going to be limited. I've just found that magazine ads and even the newspaper ads that we did, the problem is, unless you're willing to do a sustained campaign to have that imagery seen over and over again, it's not enough to have people just see an image once. With Facebook and with our direct mail, we were able to hit people multiple times and get to a point where they say, "Oh yeah, I want to go to that gallery. Oh, here's another ad from them. I need to get in there. Oh, I'm driving by. There's the gallery. I'm going to stop." And it takes that kind of sustained effort to generate the impetus to come into the gallery. Jim, I see you've got a hand up. I'm not sure if it was on this topic or the last, but if you want to hop in, please do.
Well, it's kind of a new, maybe a little combination. It's a couple parts. Number one, as a gallerist, how quickly do you make a decision when an artist walks in or sends in a portfolio? And the second part is it more effective for an artist to actually walk in with a digital portfolio versus receiving it as an email, maybe from 1,000 miles away? And how quickly do you just, I guess it's just Europe, obviously just Europe, and every gallerist is different, but is it a pretty quick decision, like that's something I want, or
it's a great question, Jim. And you're right, it is going to vary a bit from gallery to gallery, but let me give you some examples that I've had over the last year, let's say, of artists approaching me. And I do receive approaches both in person and via email. And really, ultimately, it comes a bit down to the artwork. I would suggest, and we don't have time to go into all of it today, but I would suggest that if you do have a chance to physically visit a gallery with your portfolio, can shake hands, can meet people, that is a powerful foot forward in terms of building a relationship with a gallery. That in-person meeting is pretty powerful and can help turn a portfolio that might capture their interest into a portfolio and relationship that blossoms into representation. But it's just not possible for a lot of artists to visit every gallery that they would like to visit with their portfolio. And so I would suggest that a mix of the two can be successful, where if you can visit some galleries in person and also email a digital portfolio to the galleries, that combination ultimately can lead to success. You need to be thinking about approaching many, many galleries in order to have enough see you to reach the percentage that will respond favorably to your work and be in a position where they're ready to offer representation. Now, you asked about timing. This last year, I would say we've brought on 4 or 5 new artists, say over the last 12 months. One of them was a fairly short time frame from the time that I saw the portfolio to bringing this artist on board, a matter of a couple of months. The others, I have known their work or would have first seen their work several years ago. And was interested in their work, liked it, but the timing wasn't right in terms of having space in the gallery to show their work, or maybe the combination of other artwork that was being shown in the gallery, and kind of thinking about the mix that we would have in the gallery. And so it took a longer period of time. It's just going to vary. Every single experience that you are going to have with a gallery owner is going to be unique. And the dynamics and the variables involved are just going to pretty dramatically vary from one experience to another. But what you want to do is have all of the pieces in place so that you're prepared to deal with any of those variables. As you say, a digital portfolio that shows your work to its best advantage, a pricing structure that's going to make sense and fit in the broader market, consistency in your artwork, an artist's biography and artist statement that you can share with the galleries. And if we kind of have all those tools in place, we position ourselves to be able to take advantage of the opportunities when they do arise, and not only to take advantage of them, but to make those opportunities by doing a lot of outreach. Great question, Jim. And let me go to another one from Leslie. This is a website question. And Leslie is from Florida. She says, for years, I've avoided putting prices on my website, took the time and trouble to join Artwork Archive so I could put my prices next to my artwork. Then I read your recent blog post where you said you're totally in favor of putting prices on one's website. What? So my question to you is, you're okay with, for example, if your artists are showing in your gallery, have prices on their website? Yeah, so this is a great question as well, and a bit of a challenge one. It's one that each of you is going to grapple with. You know, when I'm setting up my website, do I include prices? Many of you may have read my blog post with all the reasons that I advocate for including prices. The main one being that if I'm going to show my work online, and my ultimate goal is to generate sales of that artwork, if I'm not including the pricing information, I'm leaving out the most important element that a client is going to be looking for as they're reviewing my artwork. And why would I do that? Why would I make it harder than it needs to be? And so certainly our website not only has pricing, but it has an easy process for making online purchases. Every single week, we are selling multiple pieces of artwork to people who went to our website, clicked on something, and bought it without ever getting us physically involved in the sale process. And that's growing. Year to year, that continues to be a growing part of our business. The price points continue to edge up, and we're just seeing more and more of that kind of activity. And so we want to facilitate and encourage that. As an artist, it's a little bit different. You're not going to be getting the same volume of traffic that we do. But the traffic that you do get, you want to encourage them to be moving toward buying, and giving them pricing information is going to help with that. So as to the second part of this question, are you okay with your artists including pricing on the website? And my answer is yes, so long as, and it's critical that those price points are in line with the prices at which I'm showing the work in my gallery, right? There can't be any discrepancy there. The price needs to be the retail price. And I will tell you that the artists with whom I have the best relationship are those artists who, yes, have their information on their website and their artwork and pricing. And when they're contacted, they ask the question, how did you discover my artwork? And when the client says, oh, I saw it in a gallery in Scottsdale, they then say, oh, great, contact Xanadu Gallery. They'll help you with a purchase. And they refer the client back to us to handle the sales part of the equation. And in fact, I have a number of artists who that's just their default. Yes, we have a website. Yes, we have pricing. But if you contact me, I'm going to refer you either to the gallery where you discovered us or your nearest gallery. And I'm going to let the gallery handle the logistics of the sale. Ultimately, their thought process is, I've hired the gallery so that I don't have to deal with the challenges that can come with making sales occur. And so that's just kind of the default. We all kind of work together in partnership. But yes, that was a little bit of a long way of saying I'm okay with artists including pricing as long as it's consistent. And I encourage us all to be working toward that. I'm mystified. I cannot understand it when I go to a gallery website, especially an art gallery website, and I see artwork shared and there's no pricing information. It just shows me that gallery has not caught the vision of the potential of an online presence and marketing efforts to interact with their collectors, both online and off, and generate sales. Let me shift. We're quickly blowing through our time here, and I want to get to a few more questions. This next question comes from Holly. And let me get Holly's question up here so I can see it. Last year, I'd posted a painting on Instagram that I had completed. A good friend said that she wanted to purchase it. I framed it and gave them a price which they agreed to. It has been a year. I mentioned it once, but do not want to pester them. I'm completely fine with them having a change of heart. I'd also like to hang it in a frame shop where I hang most of my work. What should I do? So again, whoops, sorry about that. I suspect that many of us may have had experiences similar to this, where you've had someone express interest. In this case, a price was agreed upon, framing was done. I mean, it felt like a sale was made, and yet now there's not the follow through. And I think a key word here that I'm going to focus on is where Holly says, I don't want to pester them. This word is my bane, that this concept of pestering that. And I think that many of you, and as a salesperson, I understand it because I've been through it myself. Many of us feel like follow up and follow through are pestering, that we're annoying someone. And we think that way because in my opinion, it is a demonstration of a lack of confidence in our work. And Holly, I'm not picking on you. I think this is universal. We all feel this way. And that is that we feel like if someone is buying our work, they are doing us the hugest favor that has ever been done to mankind, because, you know, I'm just a faker out here making subpar artwork and trying to pass it off as real art. I mean, ultimately, isn't that kind of the underlying concern that many of us have as we think of our own artwork? And that's just not the case. If anything, I would suspect that the buyer, and I've had interactions with buyers where I've seen this manifest, where the buyer feels like they're pulling one over on you. You are this amazing artist who's creating something that I could never in a million years contemplate having the talent and passion and drive and creativity to produce. And I'm going to give you a few $1,000s, and you're going to give me that priceless work of art. You know, I've just pulled one off on you. I'm going to enjoy this artwork for years, and I would bet that couple of $1,000s was spent several weeks ago. And so we just really, I think it takes a change in mindset when we're thinking about our interaction with customers. That they're not doing us a favor. We're both winning in this circumstance. And certainly their purchase of our artwork enables us to continue doing what we're doing. And I don't want to underappreciate what they're doing in any way, but I just want to kind of balance out that concern that we have. And so when it comes to follow through, I want to be bold. And Hollywood, I would recommend you do is pick up the phone, preferably pick up the phone, or if you could meet with them in person, or as a last resort, an email. But I would just reach out to them and say, hey, you know, remember last year we had that conversation about this painting? You said you were interested and wanted to purchase it. I've had it framed and ready to go. And I have dropped the ball a little bit. And I apologize. I wanted to reach out to you. You had said you wanted it, and somehow I got busy and didn't follow through the way I would have liked to. And I have that piece here ready to go. And I just haven't been in touch with you the way I should have been. Now, do you see what I did here? I put the onus on myself. I didn't reach out to them and say, hey, what's the deal? You guys disappeared on me. But I'm reaching out to be of service to these customers who have missed out on a year of having my artwork because I didn't do the follow through. I'm not pestering you. And certainly it is possible that the client will say, you know, we got into circumstances, we changed, it's not going to fit in our home or whatever. But at least now I will know. I'm not left in this limbo where I'm wondering what happened. I'm wondering what I should do. I just want to know. And they're not going to look at this as a breach of friendship or pestering on your part, especially if you kind of put it in the way that I did. I'm sorry for not following up with you. I've got the piece ready to go. I could deliver it as soon as you're ready. How would you like to proceed? That's how I would put it. And what you'll find is that you're going to have a positive response from them one way or the other. And now this piece will be out of that limbo. But I would certainly follow up with them before I go and display it somewhere else. Otherwise, you could run into a situation where you put it out into your framing gallery, someone comes along and buy it, and a month later, your friend says, you know what, Holly, I don't know what happened, but we didn't get in touch with you. We want to get our painting now. And now you're left in a very awkward situation where you tell them that you've sold it, and this is far more potentially damaging to your relationship than your follow-up with them to make sure that you're providing the best service possible. Holly, please reach back out to me. I would love to hear how this how this situation resolves, and I'm confident it will be resolved positively. Well, there we go. I think we got to 4 or 5 questions, and we burned right through our time. I didn't even get to half of the questions that were submitted. But again, I appreciate the questions and the conversation. We have this Ask Me Anything session every 3rd Wednesday. And so if I didn't get to your questions, please submit them again for the next session in April. We will be back here next Wednesday for a critique. So be sure and keep an eye out for the email announcing that session. In the meantime, keep creating, keep doing the outreach, keep working and pushing forward to share your artwork. And of course, we'll look forward to being back here with